Welcome to Native Talk Arizona, presented by Native Health and KRDP 90.7 FM. Later in the show, Tyesha Wood and Kevin Poleyuptewa will tell us about the National Criminal Justice Training Center, dedicated to developing new programs and resources to meet the constantly evolving needs of the criminal justice community. But right now, Susan Levy talks with Gina Keenan, Supervisor of the Native Health WIC program.
I'm Susan Levy, and in the studio with us today is Gina Keenan. She's the WIC Supervisor for Native Health's WIC. Hello, Gina. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Susan. Thank you so much for having me today.
Well, I'm super excited to learn more about WIC. I know things have changed. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. And you're right about things have changing. So we'll talk more about that in a few minutes. Anyway, my name is Gina Keenan, and I'm the WIC registered dietitian at Native Health WIC. I'm from Boston originally, and I've lived in many different areas throughout the United States. I have about 12 years of experience with the WIC program. It's actually been my first job, and we'll see if maybe it will be my last at some point. I have my bachelor's in nutrition from the Penn State University, and also my master's in public health from University of Massachusetts, and I'm also a certified health coach.
Wow, you're definitely from the East Coast, huh?
Yes.
I bet this is a change. All right, so tell us, first of all, what does WIC stand for?
So WIC is Women, Infants, and Children. I like to refer to us as the Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for Women, Infants, and Children because a lot of people don't know that we're, in fact, a supplemental program.
And supplemental to what?
Supplemental to however else you receive your food and you're providing for your families. So we provide, supplemental nutrition, so supplemental food, supplemental to other programs, food benefits like SNAP and things like that.
So Gina, what other programs does WIC have besides the supplemental nutrition?
Well, we also provide free nutrition education, breastfeeding support, and then referrals within the community. So it's really great because a lot of our participants don't even know that we provide referrals to other places like SNAP, dental, medical providers, and basically any other services like food banks. And it's a great way to get to know the community. So lots of referrals are being made.
That's awesome. Okay, let's go back to breastfeeding, though. I know that's a challenge for a lot of moms when they're starting to breastfeed. What kind of support do you offer to breastfeeding mothers?
Sure. So our main goal is really just to, like you said, support and just to kind of be the mom's cheerleader and say, hey, you got this, mom. We encourage breastfeeding at any degree. So no matter how much or how little you breastfeed or formula feed or whatever you decide to do. We're there for you and to reach your goals. The one cool resource we have now, which has been around since about September 2022, is called the Pacify app. And what that is, it's 24/7 access to a lactation consultant. So they do video chat, phone, text with you. If mom has a question or a concern, even staff at WIC can actually call it if they had a specific question that they really didn't know if they could answer, which is really great. And it's awesome because if they can't call the WIC clinic for some specific reason, they can reach out 24/7 to this app. And it's completely free, another free resource. And for anyone listening who is a current participant in the WIC program, our sign-up code is NH, as in Native Health. So check it out.
Okay. Then also, let's go back to nutrition education. So what kind of nutrition education do you do? Is it like, oh, my baby's 8 months old, they should be having fruits and vegetables? Is it that kind of nutrition education?
Yeah. So we get, I would say, one of our main nutrition education points would be introduction to solids for an infant, for example, when they turn 6 months. So we can provide them with handouts, just basic education on how to safely introduce baby foods, since WIC, as part of the food packages and nutrition foods, offers baby foods at 6 months. So we kind of incorporate the foods with the education. And at 8 months, 9 months, we're talking more about finger foods and different textures and things like that. So there's a lot of different things we can talk about.
That's awesome. So who's eligible for WIC?
Sure, and that's kind of a loaded question because you think it's women, infants, and children. So we'll start with that. Pregnant women during pregnancy and up to 6 weeks after they have the baby.
So as early, like if you're just newly pregnant, like you can get into WIC?
Well, let's say mom comes to us and says, hey, I'm 7 months pregnant. We can still register her, no matter where she is within the pregnancy. So her certification period would be good 6 weeks after delivery. And we ask about her delivery date, so we have that in the system when we register her. We also do cover postpartum women up to 6 months after delivery. And postpartum women, it's also basically anybody who is pregnant. I don't like to use the word miscarriage, but if that occurs, we want to let you know that you may be eligible for WIC too. So don't forget about that. And then, of course, our breastfeeding women. And we have different food packages for breastfeeding women. So anybody can call us and find out more information about that. But yeah, we cover everybody. And children up to age 5.
Is that so? It's up to age 5, up until they turn 5.
Yes.
So any child, or do you have to have financial income, financial limitations?
Perfect. So there's actually a couple different ways we can go with the child. We have, if they receive access, also known as Arizona Medicaid, SNAP or food stamps, or temporary assistance for needy families, such as cash assistance.
That's TANF, right?
Yep.
Okay.
You automatically qualify for the WIC program.
Cool. That's easy.
And also, I want to point out for foster children, anybody pretty much who is a foster child will also qualify too, which is kind of cool because a lot of people don't realize that.
Those kids definitely need it. Let's back up. And so for pregnant women, do you also have to have financial eligibility, or is it just any pregnant woman?
Sure. And we find most of our moms or pregnant mothers, breastfeeding mothers, etc., they qualify through access. I would say that's the majority of our population. However, there is a way to qualify for WIC through standard income if you don't receive any of those programs. And the income guidelines are on our website on Native Health Phoenix. We have our updated guidelines. They were just recently posted. So we can always check that out to see if you might qualify. But basically, you provide payroll stubs, tax return, and our staff is really good about telling you what you need before the appointment, or we reach out to you right before you do the appointment, so you will not be lost on what you need.
Okay, but the big way, or the primary way, is for pregnant women if they're on Access, SNAP, or TANF, right?
Correct.
Okay, cool. And if they're not, they can always check the income guidelines and apply.
Right.
All right, so I know WIC changed a lot during COVID. What happened, and where are you all at?
COVID has definitely been quite an experience for us all in the WIC program and outside of the WIC program. But most importantly, we've been offering all appointments over telephone, which is definitely something new to me, coming from in-person services all the time. So we're providing all services over the phone currently, which is very accessible for a lot of our moms who live all over the valley, or working, and they have their children they take to school. So a lot of our clientele is really liking those remote services.
Makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
So how can someone find information about Native Health WIC programs?
There's a few different ways, if you will. So the first is you can visit itcaonline.com, and they have a wealth of resources, how to find a clinic, and then just some information on Welcome to WIC, for example. There's a couple of YouTube videos on there showing current clients how to use benefits, what to expect, and they recently just updated the website with those resources as well, which is really good for our new clients. and WIC programs in general, you can check out the USDA website. But then also, of course, don't forget about our Native Health Phoenix website, where we have the updated eligibility guidelines, how to apply, and then, of course, our application. So I should say online pre-application, where you can click on it and apply for your WIC services.
Okay, and you said ITCA online, right?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So for those listeners, it's itcaonline.com, Native Health, and there was a third one.
For WIC in general, you can check out USDA.
USDA.gov,
Yep.
right? Okay. All right, so question. Is it easy to enroll into WIC, or is this a lengthy process? Do you need lots of stuff? So how does that work?
I want to say it's easy, but I guess for the general person, it seems like we do require a lot of documentation.
Probably because it's USDA.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
I would say overall it's pretty easy. So proof of address, proof of income, or one of the following programs, the Medicaid.
So if I've got my access card, what else do I need to make an appointment? Is that it? Or just proof of address with that?
I would have my proof of address just in case, but honestly, if you have access and your address is current, we can use that as proof of address. So it kind of works really well.
That's easy then. Okay. All right.
Yep.
That makes it easy. Okay. That's cool. So Gina, tell us, is there anything else that you have to add that I forgot questions about WIC?
Sure. I just wanted to add that this institution is an equal opportunity provider.
Okay. Cool. All right. So finally, how can our listeners learn more about WIC, and how can someone reach out and contact you or Native Health WIC?
I would say the number one absolute best way to contact us right now is our 1-800 number,
Which is?
1-800-470-5930.
Is that phone, or, and you can't text that, right? Just phone?
It's phone, and it also receives faxes. So anybody needs to fax documentation, we get the information from there, which is pretty cool.
And I think it's pretty amazing. Your whole career's been WIC. That shows a lot of dedication, passion, and that you really care about WIC. So
Yes. I love the program.
that's good. I'm glad you're at Native Health. You're an awesome WIC director. So
Thank you.
thanks for taking time to talk to us today. Anything else?
No, I think that's pretty much it. But yeah, again, I can't emphasize that 1-800 number enough. We get a lot of calls saying we're trying to contact you and we're leaving a voicemail, and then we never receive it. So 1-800 number.
Okay. And thanks for coming out and being a great WIC director, and check out Native Health WIC programs.
Thank you so much.
Coming up, Susan Levy talks with Tyesha Wood and Kevin Poleyuptewa about the National Criminal Justice Training Center. Support for KRDP 90.7 FM comes in part from Native Health, with 2 locations in Phoenix, 4041 North Central Avenue, Building C, near the corner of Central Avenue and Indian School Road, and at 2423 West Dunlap Avenue. Native Health is also located in Mesa at 777 West Southern Avenue, near the corner of Southern Avenue and Extension Road. Native Health provides primary medical, dental, behavioral health, WIC, and wellness services for the urban Native American community. For more information, call 602-279-5262 or visit our webpage at nativehealthphoenix.org. Native Talk Arizona returns after this song. You are listening to Sundancer 21 by Eagle and Hawk.
Are you a dancer in this world? it's hard, but you said it and you meant it. But would you keep on going? So dancer, carry the weight on your shoulder, on your shoulder. They say we're all the same in this world, like red is red and white is white. And all you wanted was to be dear. And I close my eyes to you, yeah, to you. So dancer, carry the weight on your shoulder, on your shoulder, on your shoulder. Are you a dancer in this world? Do you walk the sun dance of life? Of life. So dancer, carry the weight on your shoulder, on your shoulder, on your shoulder. So dancer, carry the weight on your shoulder, on your
Welcome back to Native Talk Arizona, presented by Native Health and KRDP 90.7 FM. I'm Susan Levy, and in the studio with us today is Tyesha Wood and Kevin Poleyuptewa from the National Criminal Justice Training Center, and they're dedicated to developing new programs and resources to meet the constantly evolving needs of the criminal justice community. It's an honor to have you both on the show today. Thank you.
Glad
Thanks
to
for
be
having
here,
us.
Susan.
So before we get started, please tell us a little bit about yourselves. Tyesha, you want to go first?
Sure. I am a member of the Navajo Nation. Again, my name is Tyesha Wood. I grew up in the Window Rock area. I worked right out of college, went into law enforcement, worked for tribal agencies here in Arizona. 17 years as a police officer and detective. Most of the work I did was as a detective, investigating crimes against children. That basically paved the way into my current position as program manager of Amber Alert in Indian Country, which is a program of the National Criminal Justice Training Center.
Okay. I can't wait to learn more. I know that Amber Alerts are super important. And Kevin, what about you?
Hi, my name is Kevin Poleyuptewa. I am a project coordinator at the National Criminal Justice Training Center at Fox Valley Technical College, and I have a background in working with men, primarily developing and running, facilitating fatherhood programs, and have been doing some work here with NCJTC and have been able to incorporate some of that into the stuff that they do in their programs. So really excited to be part of that team and looking forward. I'm also Hopi from the village of Sapalavi in Second Mesa, Arizona, Sun Forehead clan, and that's me.
Well, welcome. Okay, so Kevin, tell us a little bit about what is the National Criminal Justice Training Center?
The National Criminal Justice Training Center is a training and technical assistance organization. They also have several different units or areas that they provide training for. They obviously have the Amber Alert unit. They've got our tribal unit that works with tribal grantees, typically from grantees for the Office for Victims of Crime, OVW. We also have a Emmett Till area that we're working on as well, and along with, let's see, what else do they do? A lot of law enforcement type training as well, and internet crimes against children, missing and murdered. So there's a lot of different areas that they cover within the organization.
That's a lot of programs. So let's backtrack a little bit and let's talk about, does the National Criminal Justice Training Center have experience working within tribal communities?
Yes, they do. They actually have been working in tribal communities for many years now, and also more recently, I think within the last few years, have created the tribal unit that really focuses on tribal communities. But all the training that they do provide is available to tribal and non-tribal communities.
So are there trainings specific for tribal communities, or are they just general trainings that tribal communities can participate in as well as everybody else?
Both.
Okay.
They do have trainings that are available specifically for tribal communities, and they can be created or molded towards that community and specific training that they may want. But then we also provide general training that anybody can attend as well. We also do have a couple conferences that we host.
So what kind of conferences?
It really depends. I mean, we just were hosting last week what was it called? The American Indian Justice Conference up in Reno. And I know there was one down in, I believe, Orlando recently. And, they are, like I said, they can be law enforcement focused and, training focused. That's some of the stuff that we're working on now is through our contracting area, is providing some of those types of conferences for non-law enforcement community as well. So there really isn't anything that they can't do.
So it'd be like training for like social workers or behavioral health, or like who would, since it's non-law enforcement, who would that be for?
Yeah, that would include anybody, primarily social workers, people that work in the court system, juvenile justice, again, law enforcement, and, like grantees that may be developing, domestic violence shelters, child advocacy centers, those types of programs. So it can be anybody from directors, councilmen to council members, all the way down to the boots on the ground staff that are working within those programs. So it's a wide variety that it is catered to.
And so now that we're kind of ending COVID, is it back to in person, or is everything virtual, or what kind of formats?
Do both virtual and in-person trainings, and we are definitely getting a lot more in-person requests for trainings and conferences. The conferences I've been to in the last year have really been packed with people, I think, just wanting to get out and mingle with others as well. So it's been great. It's been wonderful to be able to see a lot of the grantees we work with, a lot of different tribes that we work with as well at those conferences.
So tell me, what kind of if you can remember, what kind of trainings do you have coming up that you can think of?
Well, most of them right now are, for me anyway, are online. So we're doing webinars. I have a reentry and fatherhood program webinar coming up in June that I will be facilitating. That is limited registration on that one, specifically for tribal communities.
Sorry, and who's that for?
That is for... it can include court staff, probation, law enforcement, Department of Corrections, social workers, community programs. Those entities that are going to be part of a reentry program or are looking to develop a reentry program within their community. So it really is going to be open to quite a few.
Okay, I'm just trying to think. So we've got like Arizona at Work here, and that's a reentry program where they come here and help people find employment. Would that be a good fit for him to listen or participate, or is it for people trying to create their own reentry programs?
Yeah, no, I mean, that would be great for them to listen in as well. There are things that we will be talking about that they may be doing within their facility, so it would be nice to get that dialogue from them as well. But as I said, this particular training is targeted to our Native American communities.
Okay.
So if they are one of those, then that would be great.
Well, they're at Native Health, so they see a lot of people that come in. All right, cool. All right, so anything else coming up that you can think of off the top of your head that sounds pretty good for people to listen or join in or learn more?
Off the top of my head, I don't recall. I mean, we've got so many things going on all over the country, and I would definitely encourage people to visit the National Criminal Justice Training Center website. On there, they can find all the different programs that are available. There are pre-recorded online trainings that are available to them as well that they can look on. Some of them are free. Others, they are paid trainings that they can attend. They just need to register. And there's so much on that website. So definitely go by and take a look at that. We have contracting services that are available now as well, specific trainings for our Native community that we've created, and we're still working on creating more curriculum for those as well.
Okay, tell me, what's the website again?
ncjtc.org, I believe.
So, Tyesha, can you tell us a little bit about the Ashland Mike Amber Alert in Indian Country Act of 2018? What is that?
The Ashland Mike Amber Alert Indian Country Act of 2018 is actually the title of the PROTECT Act that's been amended. The PROTECT Act is the Amber Alert for all of the United States and its territories. So basically, every state has an Amber Alert coordinator who facilitates Amber Alerts for that state. So the Ashland Mike Amber Alert Indian Country Act was amended in 2018 by the President of the United States. This was amended specifically for Indian country, for tribal, federally recognized tribes to be able to receive the same services that each state has under the PROTECT Act. And that includes training and resources for Amber Alert. Ashland Mike was abducted in 2016 from northern New Mexico, from her home on the Navajo Nation. She and her brother were walking, and a community member offered to give them a ride home. They never made it home. Well, Ashland never made it home. Her brother, Ian, was able to escape the abductor and provide a description of the vehicle that the suspect, the abductor, was driving, as well as a description of the suspect. Ashland's body was recovered the next day. The initial response was by law enforcement, by the community, obviously was heightened. You know, a child was abducted. They had a person that had a description. There was a delay, of course, in the time delay for the reporting. There was I would say, a lot of people trying to do a lot of things at the same time to help Ashland. And sometimes it's not a coordinated response. A lot of people were wondering, well, who do we call? What do we do? Who does the Amber Alert? Because of this delay, which unfortunately resulted in Ashland not returning home to her family, her mother, Pamela Foster, advocated in her daughter's name to bring awareness to the challenges that Indian country has with Amber Alerts and actually initiating an Amber Alert within the boundaries of a federally recognized tribe. For 18 months, she advocated, tribal level, local, state level, all the way up to the United States Congress. In that 18 months, a lot of people became aware, again, of the challenges, whether it would be broadband, whether it was 911 capabilities, whether it was rural addressing, or whether it was just a coordinated community response. From her advocacy and the support of lawmakers, again, the PROTECT Act was amended, and it was signed in 2018. The act, because it's now amended, now reads as the Ashland Mike Amber Alert Indian Country Act of 2018. Hence our program name, For sure, we like to say the Amber Alert in Indian Country program. What we are now able to do is provide training and resources to federally recognized tribes about their response to an abducted or kidnapped child from a tribal community. So again, using Ashland's name, we're able to help not just Navajo Nation, but all the 574 federally recognized tribes within the United States on a more coordinated response, a community response. Law enforcement now has access to training. Specifically, a tribal community, a federally recognized tribal community, can implement their own Amber Alert within their tribal community if they wish to do so. And we will help with that process by training. Again, one of the biggest things that we want to do is make sure the tribal community on the tribal level knows their state resources from their state Amber Alert coordinator. So again, the PROTECT Act, I know this is a lot, Susan. There's a lot of information, which is why we will talk about how to get this information specifically from our program. But each state has an Amber Alert coordinator. And let's say, for example, Arizona, we would connect tribes within Arizona with their state Amber Alert coordinator so that now there's a direct connection, there's a direct communication network between them. So if there's a question on a tribal level about Amber Alert or what is the criteria for a state Amber Alert, they can connect with their Amber Alert coordinator. And likewise, the Amber Alert coordinator on that state level may have a question about a certain jurisdiction, or maybe there's a training available that the state's putting on now that they have and are aware of the tribes within their state. They can make that connection on their own. Again, it's about a community coordinated response to a missing or abducted child from a tribal nation.
Well, first of all, my heart goes out to that family. I can only imagine how horrible. I'm glad to see something not good or positive is coming out of it, but at least a change. But I think my initial question would be for you is when you're talking about like working with the coordinated response with the state, wouldn't it also be redundancy that if somebody is abducted on a tribal land and they're taken off, that you've also got the Amber Alert like in Navajo County or Coconino or whatever? Do they work together? I'm probably jumping ahead, but that would be my initial thought is like, would they all work together and know what's going on so that I know time is of the essence when somebody's abducted? And
yes.
I know minutes are super important, and the longer you go, generally not such a good outcome. So
that's a great question, and that is one that is common with when we go out and make connections with tribal communities. I'm going to use the Navajo Nation as an example. When Ashland was abducted, again, it was in 2016, the Navajo Nation was able to get resources, and they were one of the first tribal nations to implement their own Amber Alert. So basically, as you mentioned, as you described, they have an alert within their community as well as the alerts within the state. So Navajo Nation is unique in that it has got 3 states that they work with: the state of Utah, the state of Arizona, the state of New Mexico. And that's because the Navajo Nation has land within these states. The Navajo Nation Amber Alert coordinator was at that time able to communicate with each state coordinator and developed a really good relationship. So if the Navajo Nation has an alert, and they've done this several times, where the criteria meets the Navajo Nation standards, that Amber Alert coordinator would call, let's say if it's in Arizona, would call the Arizona Amber Alert coordinator and tell them, I've got this alert coming out, heads up, this is what it's about. And then that Amber Alert coordinator would either do a similar alert so the rest of Arizona could get the alert if it falls within that state criteria. And we'll go and talk about criteria later. If it didn't meet the state criteria level, they would just be on standby and the information was received. Same as New Mexico, same as Utah, those coordinators. There have been instances, we've been told by the New Mexico coordinator, where that Navajo Nation Amber Alert went out and southern New Mexico received the same alert, and they were called by the local PD saying, we have an alert, what is this about? And then state New Mexico Amber Alert was able to say, well, this is for the Navajo Nation. And they were well aware of that alert prior. So they were able to answer the question saying, well, this is from northern New Mexico. If it does meet the standards of state, and we believe it, if it carries over, then we'll pick it up and you'll get notified of the alert. So again, it's coordination. It's a lot of communication happening on that level where I have a question here. Can the state coordinator help me answer this question? Criteria is a huge component of any alerts. As I mentioned, each state has their own criteria. And when we connect with tribes in Maine or in Texas or in Nebraska, each state has a different criteria, and we have to train on those criteria for that state. For those nations that have land that extends into other states, we again bring in all those states to meet with the tribe. For example, Navajo. I believe in Texas and Louisiana, there's a tribe that borders both states. So we would bring in both Amber Alert coordinators from each state to meet with the tribe. Lots of communication. It's not the same. What works in Navajo may not work in Maine for the Penobscot Nation, may not work for the Kickapoo tribe in southern Texas. But there are definitely some similarities that maybe lessons learned from the Kickapoo tribe can extend into the St. Regis Mohawk tribe in New York. We encourage the tribes to not start from the beginning. You know, if there's something previously from another tribe that we want to share that works for them, maybe that it'll also work for another nation. So it's a lot of information gathering, sharing, networking. As you know, Native Talk in Arizona extends not just to one tribe, but extends to all the tribes here in Arizona, maybe, and then some of those other nationalities or tribes that live here in Arizona. It's again, communication. And if you think back to what Amber Alert was about when it was initiated from Amber Hagerman, it was, what is the best way to get information out about a missing or abducted child? And so within our Amber Alert Indian Country initiative, we talk about those communication channels within Indian Country and extending it into not just one nation, but other tribal nations.
I know we're talking about Amber Alert, which is children under 18, correct?
Correct.
So what about the Silver Alert or anybody who's missing, anybody who's missing? So do you work with other groups as well, or is it just strictly Amber Alerts? As we're seeing the rise in the trafficking and everything else that's going on, we're talking specifically Amber Alert right now?
We are, because the funding that we receive for the Ashland Mike Amber Alert Indian Country Act is a DOJ grant funding. So specifically, I've been talking a lot about training and networking and communicating with tribes. Everything that we do for the community is free. We don't ask for payment. We don't ask them to pay our lodging or pay for our travel. The grant allows this, but it's specifically for children. So again, the Amber Alert, as you mentioned, is for anyone under the age of 18. What we like to say when we go out into training, because one of the things that you mentioned, human trafficking is real. It is happening across the nation, including tribal territories, tribal nations. Another thing that is real, and we've heard a lot about, is MMIP, MMIW, the crisis with that. So we extend our training to meet the needs of communities to respond to a child, but we also tell the community what we provide for you now is a baseline, it's a foundation. Build upon what we give you, amend it to meet the needs of your community. Kevin talked earlier about how we make trainings, we mold trainings to community. And it's similar like that with Amber Alert Indian Country. We provide templates, we provide basic training, sometimes advanced training if the tribal communities want to continue with trainings. But once we leave that community, it's definitely a resource there for the community to build and mold to meet the needs of what's happening, whether it's human trafficking awareness or whether it's MMIW. You did mention Silver Alerts, and another alert that's commonly used is called a MIPA, Missing Endangered Person Alert. There are different alerts through each state. I believe there are 3 states now that have passed legislation for populations that are gone missing that are from indigenous communities or tribal communities. And that would be Washington, California, and I believe Colorado. And they have specific, I believe in California, it's called a feather alert, missing indigenous person alert.
Be nice if Arizona could do that.
Definitely. It's up to our wonderful lawmakers here in Arizona. let's look back at Pamela Foster. She advocated on local level, tribal level. It went to the state. It went to Congress. Cannot say enough for the bravery that she has. I cannot say enough for the courage and the strength that she continues to do what she does. It's people like that make a difference in our community. And she was a mother, she's a grandmother, she's a sister, she's a daughter. It's just, she had no police training. She had no specific rescue training. It was her heart, and it was fighting for her children, her child, and everybody's children in the Indian country. So it could be, my point is, it could be any one of us, just to make that, start bringing up the topics, start talking about what is needed and how the things that are happening with our community that are wrong, the crimes, the violence. It doesn't have to be this way, Susan, right? We can make it, each individual can make a difference. And it's about just engaging community and starting that network of what can be done and how can it be better for us.
Well, and change starts with one person.
Correct.
And I think, if they could do a feather alert here or whatever you'd want to call it, can you imagine the difference it would make? I mean, with all the trafficking and everything that's going on in Arizona. Anyway, so Tyesha, what resources does the Amber Alert and Indian Country Initiative provide?
As mentioned, all our trainings and resources are free. We offer virtual training. We offer in-person training. It's a really simple process. You request our training and we'll connect with you on what exactly you need. We do Amber Alert and Indian Country 101. We do canvassing and responding training for Indian Country. We talk about investigations for cold cases in Indian Country for missing people. We also talk a little bit more about personal safety as it applies to Amber Alert in Indian Country.
So Tyesha, are there any other resources that are available through the Amber Alert in Indian Country program?
Thank you for asking, Susan. We actually have a wonderful kit that we've been providing to federally recognized tribes. In addition to the training, free training, and the free presentations that we can offer, we have been providing tribal law enforcement with an Amber Alert in Indian Country technology toolkit. This toolkit provides a digital camera, a Panasonic Toughbook tablet. We have software for the tablet. We have, interestingly enough, a document portable printer and scanner. And the idea behind this and some other items that we can talk about a little more later, or people can look up online. The kit is provided to tribal law enforcement and those specifically working with missing children or missing people that are assigned this a unit. And it's basically just a tangible resource. If they're going out to the field and they need to use a camera, we have a camera for them. If they need to go online, the tablet is there. We've had a great partnership with FirstNet that are offering 6 months of Wi-Fi for the tablet. And the tablet's purpose would be you can download stuff on there. We have, if you go online, we have resources of questionnaires for a first responder to all the way up to a detective. And this is like a guideline for investigating a missing child. Again, these are free for each federally recognized tribe. We get only one kit assigned to one police department. We've been able to give out about 60 of these toolkits across the nation. Arizona, a few tribes receive them. A few tribes in Washington, Louisiana. We've given a few out to a tribal community in Maine. So you can find more on our website or give us a call and we'll talk to the police department about receiving their toolkit. It's free.
So one more question, sorry, is I know you said each police department, right? So
yes,
like that would be a lot of police departments, right?
I'm sorry. Thank you for clarifying it. It's each police department of a federally recognized tribe.
So it's one.
Yes.
So it'd be one kit per tribe.
One for the Hopi,
okay.
Hopi Police Department, and one for the Auction Police Department.
Okay, so one per tribe. Yes. Okay, just wanted to
Thank you.
clarify.
Thank you for doing that.
Is it important to maximize the response for the first few hours of an abduction? I think it is, right? That, things don't get lost in translation and you're missing evidence and things like that. Is that correct?
The first 3 hours are crucial to a response, an effective response to a missing and or abducted child. What we've learned through research and data collection is that initially some individuals will not report loved ones missing until 2 hours later. And that was because, families are checking with other family members or, calling schools. So that 2 hours basically is already gone. So you have an hour to work with and to communicate and to think about what your child was wearing this morning when they left the house. You think about friends in the area. You think about the resources that the community has. Do you call local PD? Is it BIA in the community? Do you call the search and rescue at that time? So definitely a coordinated response is crucial in those first 3 hours. And that's what our training, again, talks about. Who's there, who's available in the community, and how do you make connections to outside resources within the state? So definitely 3 hours is crucial.
So if you're worried, pick up the phone and talk to somebody, right?
Ask those questions. And
call law enforcement.
And definitely know ahead of time. I know a lot of times we talk about not being able to talk about bad things within our homes because of cultural reasons, but it's also about being prepared. It's about, again, talking to your children about personal safety, as parents, as guardians, as just family members, knowing those friends in the community that your children have, and definitely being prepared with current photos of your children could be a lot easier for that response.
Super important topic. So is there anything else that you'd like to add about the Amber Alert in Indian Country, or anything else, trainings, anything else that you think would be helpful to our listeners?
Cannot say enough that this resource that we have in Amber Alert in Indian Country is free to all federally recognized tribes. We don't specifically work with just tribes, but we do work with those communities that want to bring us on board to talk about tribes that they may work with. So, we'll come out to health organizations, we'll come out to, tribal casinos, we'll come out to tribal communities. If there's a school function, we're happy to share information any way we can. It's getting our information out, knowing that the tribe has resources within their community and within their state. This is all in the name of Ashlyn Mike and the work that her mom, Pamela Foster, did. She advocated in the name of her daughter so that no child would go missing and have a delay in an Amber Alert. So she was all of our daughter, and we don't want another child going missing from Indian Country without an adequate and effective response. So it's about, again, our children and bringing our children home.
Yeah, definitely. And keeping them safe. And
of course.
Yep. And finally, how can our listeners find more information about the National Criminal Justice Training Center, and how can they reach out and contact you and learn more about these trainings?
As Kevin mentioned, our website of ncjtc.org. Also, Amber Alert specifically, our program has Amber, AMBER-IC.org.
Okay, let me go back. So it's N as in Nancy, CJTC, right? So National Criminal Justice Training Center.org. Okay.
Yeah, the easiest thing for them to do would probably just to Google the National Criminal Justice Training Center of Fox Valley Technical College.
Okay. And then somebody there can just do contact us and somebody will respond.
Yes.
Okay. You guys, what a great, important program. I mean, really a horrible topic, sad but at least you're all doing something and you're addressing it. And it's good to see that there's a coordinated response, or going to be, or more of it. And that more kids will come home and not be abducted, and just safe outcomes. So great job, and super important topic.
Thank you so much for having us, Susan.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great to be back, and good to see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Native Talk Arizona, presented by Native Health and 90.7 FM KRDP. Our executive producer is Susan Levy, sound engineer is Javier Quiroga, and our host is Lanasha Puadi. We hope you will tune in again next week. If you have any questions, please reach us at nativetalkaz@listen2krdp.com.